Formulation of grammatical correct questions. By the way, for these 2 days, mostly it will be the revision of everything that we have done, trying to catch up and cover the whole module, trying to catch up to cover the whole guide, trying to catch up to cover the whole tutorial letter as explained. Now, some of the issues that we are going to deal with for these 2 days or these 2 lessons will be some kind of repetition, and they will be able to revive you to make sure that you understood what you have been taught and how to use the language. Why is the language so important? Okay, I'm moving to my first slide. Formulation of grammatical correct questions. Questions are a normal part of conversations when you need more information, but they are also a critical skill that can develop your reading and writing skills. We ask questions at all times. When we converse, we ask questions. When I say, how are you? I'm asking a question. How are you doing? I'm asking a question. How did you do that? I'm asking a question. And at that point in time, 2 people are participating, they are conversing, they are talking to each other. And the question starts the conversation. When I see you the first time, the first thing I'm going to say, good evening. That is just a line. But the minute I say, how are you? I draw your attention to say, look at me. I just want to know about you. How are you and how are you doing? So by asking that question will give me more information about you as a friend or as a stranger or as a colleague. It's going to give me more information that I want from you or I want to hear from you. Then again, it is also a critical skill that can develop your reading and writing. Remember, all questions are at the end identified by a question mark. A question mark shows you that this line or this sentence is a question. When you read it, it will tell you that it is a question. So you stress on the question because you want to get the answers. But it's a critical skill because when you write, you use this question mark to show us that you are asking a question from that sentence or that paragraph. And when you read and you see a question mark, you know that this person who is writing or the piece that you are reading gives you a question, writing in question. So you become critical. What is this person asking? Maybe you didn't read it properly. You go back to go and see what the question is. You use your critical skill that we spoke about. You use your critical skill to see through the sentence, to see through the paragraph, to make sure that you understand the paragraph or you understand what you are reading about. Whilst you are busy reading, you end up now checking if this person is still on the same line as he started. Or this person asked a question, now the following paragraphs or the following lines of sentences come to answer the question. That's how you use a question mark as a conversation when reading, when talking, when writing, and so forth. We used questions such as, who, what, when, where, whom, whose, and which to improve comprehension or understanding content and check facts. I've just mentioned that when you ask a question, you want to understand something, or you want to be clarified, or you want to know about somebody's whereabouts. We use questions to improve comprehension or understand content and check facts. You check facts, you want to make sure that what you are reading or what you are hearing is what you understand. Comprehension, remember we spoke so much about comprehension and critical skills. For you to understand, you need to comprehend. You need to know the language. How is it used? And when you hear it, how do you interpret it? You might use these questions when writing a newspaper article or other informative text. By the way, you cannot say you are an article writer of a newspaper and yours is just to ask people questions, unless you are now preparing a survey of something. When you're preparing a survey, you want to know, you are doing a research. You want to know about something, how people feel about something. That's when you will have a whole bunch of questions following each other without any explanation, without any reason that is given. You just see questions following each other. Yours is just to answer. Some questions will be a one-word question answer like yes or no, or it will be I was there or not, things like that. So you might use these questions when writing a newspaper article or other informative texts. Informative text can be your research article. It can be your research piece that you want to add. But now for you to get the correct answers, you use questions. You formulate questions so that you can ask your people, the population that you are asking questions from. You use that and you want to get an answer so that you have an informative article. You're not just going to assume, as I've been repeating, no one who is a writer should use a hearsay or should use things that you suck from your thumb, things that you are not sure of. You have to be this person who dwells on facts. You've got to dwell on facts. And when you dwell on facts, you are going to come up with proper article. You are going to come up with proper information. Your informative text will do its job. If you want to inform people about malaria somewhere, your facts should be very, very clear because you shall have gone deeper to research about malaria, about that area, and why is it happening. When writing a summary of a piece you have read, these questions will help you identify the main ideas. You identify the main ideas that you want to write about by asking questions. There is no way that you can just get answers without asking questions. When you ask questions, you've got to be very careful. Grammatically, you have to be right. You've got to be correct. You are not going to ask questions on paper or going to send out the questionnaire that is grammatically wrong or that's not grammatically correct. What I'm saying here is you've got to edit your work. I always advised that you edit your own work before you use the systems that will help you understand if you have enough vocabulary of the language and you can use all the grammatical words that you have to use at the right point or at the right space. You are not going to mix have and has. You are not going to mix had and has. You are not going to do those things because your grammar is well loaded. You know what you are doing. You are not going to blunder or to make wrong statements. When it comes to intensive reading and critical reading and writing, how and why are likewise important for reflecting on and evaluating any text you have written or read. How and why are likewise important to reflecting on and evaluating any text you have written or read. So by asking yourself before you ask other people, how am I going to tackle this piece? You have the topic, but you want the how part. How are you going to write it? How many words are you going to write? Or were you given a certain number of words to use? Then you go to the why. Why am I writing this article? Do you want to advertise? Do you want to inform us? Or you just want to write an article to make people laugh? You are a comedian. You want people to laugh. So you write this piece of article in that corner where people always read and know that they're going to laugh after reading that piece. Still, what you are doing is very critical because you have to read and be critical and write whilst using the how and the why. They are very important because now these ones are dealing with you. These two questions, when you use them, they are dealing with you. It's a reflection of yourself on how you evaluate any text or on why do you write any text. So it gives you the gist of what you are trying to say or what you are trying to write. Shanae, do you have any question there? I didn't ask if you have questions that you want us to deal with when I started. I just thought I should go through this slide, then come back to the questions if there are any. Yes, you can go on.
No, ma'am, it's okay. I don't have any questions.
I can't hear you.
I don't have any questions.
Oh, okay. You're fine. You're still following me.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will continue. Thank you. But if you have questions, please don't hesitate. Just unmute and ask or clarity, whatever you'd want me to do. Thank you. I'm continuing now after I've said this how and why are important because you reflect on your work. You reflect on what you want to do. You are not just going to bounce on something and run. There are three grammatical structures for forming the WH question, the who questions. You know, you can even say it, giving it a sound, it's a who questions. With an auxiliary verb, which we dealt with also intensely, with an auxiliary verb, be, do, have. With an auxiliary verb, word, plus auxiliary verb, subject, main verb. Where is she going? It's an example. Where is she going? Auxiliary verb be. When did she talk to you? Auxiliary verb do. What have you been doing? Have. Can you see that where she is going. You want to know about the whereabouts of someone, but you are not talking directly to that person. You are talking to the third person. So you say, where is she going? The same as you can say, what is she saying? Now, when did she talk to you? You are looking at the time. When did this person talk to you? It's an auxiliary verb do. When you want the time. The time can be today, it's the time. But it can also be now at around 4, it's the time. Or it can be last week. It's still, you're answering the question. Or it can be yesterday. All of those, you are giving the answer to when did she talk to you? You are giving that answer, which is very, very important with the whole questions. What have you been doing? Your mother asks you, it's around 6:30, and you are supposed to have supper at 6 o'clock. Now, when you arrive, the question is, what have you been doing? Saying, meaning that I've been waiting for you. What have you been doing? The what is there. So the what, you have to give the answer as the reason for you to delay. You delayed, you were supposed to be home by 6 o'clock when supper is served, and now you are not there. By the time you arrive is 6:22, after 22 minutes, that's when you rock up at home. And then the question will be, what have you been doing? So that you can give a reason, give an answer for your lateness or for your coming late. You give the answer. But the question will always be led by, what have you been doing? Then it is with a modal verb. Modal verb can, will, shall, may, could, would, should, might. Or with a modal verb whole word. Modal verb plus the subject plus main verb. Where will the new park be built? Where will the new park be built? The answer is needed as to where. And what is that where? The new park. And the doing word there, be built. The doing word, the verb. What should we have done differently? We have been doing this and this and that, but we don't see any results. Then the question comes, what should we have done differently? Or we see the best results, then we say, what should he have done differently? Obviously, he has done something, the unusual one, something that this person is not always doing. So it is very important when you use the verb with a question. Your grammar should be correct at all times. Don't make a mistake by not checking if you are using the verb and the modal verb and the subject, that is the main verb, plus the main verb, so that your question should give a good answer. Next slide. When might that happen? When and might that happen? Who can I talk to about this? How could she walk away like that? Sometimes you use the question marks when you converse with people, as I started. But sometimes it's at the place of work where people will come and want to know you are working in this store. They want to know if they can buy something. But before they do that, some people would want to know, who can I talk to about this? Maybe a piece of furniture or a book. And when you are asked that question and you are the person who can answer, you are going to answer. Or you are going to say, what is the problem? You also ask a question. You answer a question by a question. Who can I talk to about this? Then you ask a question. What is the problem? How may I help you? Can you see how question marks are grammatically used in different ways? And I know we have been using this, we have been doing this, but we have not been checking if we are grammatically right. That's what you are learning, to make sure that you are grammatically right. When might that happen? When might that happen? Maybe you are in a meeting and you discuss about something that should be done immediately, or that should be done because the company needs it. Then you ask a question, when might that happen? You know, this question can be answered by a question also. The person who's chairing the meeting might say, when do you think you will do it? You answer a question by a question. When might that happen? Then I say, when do you think you can do it? Or when do you think you'll be ready? I'm not giving an answer, but I'm sending it back to you with a question to say, when do you think you will be ready? Let us know. So you take this and communicate, converse, because when you say, oh, I thought you have the date. No, I don't have the date, but I'm asking you, when can you be ready? Then you say, in a week's time. Then the question will continue to other members. Do you think you will be ready in a week's time? Or will you be ready in a week's time? Now listen, I said, do you think? Then I said, will you? There is no question there. But it comes because the when might that happen question came. The question came and now follows other action questions that needs to be answered. Then I'm just trying to show you that you can answer a question by a question. Because you're conversing, you're going to come to a conclusion. When I say in a week's time, then I ask the other members if they will be ready in a week's time, then they all say yes. Then we say, okay, then that will happen in a week's time. And in a week's time will be the 5th of this month. That is in a week's time. Or now to be clear that in a week's time can be a bit vague. So you want to be direct, you want to be specific. Then you say, let us look at the dates. When might that happen? In a week's time, I mean on the 5th of December. Then the question is very, very clear because it has been given a date. You know, in most cases, when projects fail, it's because people don't have when to deliver. They don't have that, or they take it, they have all the time to do that, only to find that time is flying. By the end of 3 months, the project is not yet done. So you ask yourself, what happened? What happened is there were no straight lines of completion. There were no straight dates of completion. So whatever you are doing, whatever you are writing, whatever you are doing, make sure you give yourself a completion date. There must be a completion date somewhere. If there is no completion date, then your work is just vague. Anybody can do anything at any time, which in a professional arena, it's not right, or we don't want. We want dates to complete. We want dates to know that we are submitting our assignments. You know, you are studying. Assignments do have dates. It's not a when might that happen. It's a when are you submitting your assignment? Then you check and say, oh, on the 4th. When are you? It's not a might. It's not maybe. Might is maybe. It's not a maybe. It's a showcase that will happen. Then who can I talk to about this? I cited an example that when a person asks that question, it means this person is interested in something that he or she sees. Maybe it's at a company. This person sees a beautiful car, and now after looking around and going to the receptionist or somebody who is just cleaning, the question would be, who can I talk to about this? About what, ma'am? Or about what, say? That will be the response to get. Because this question is vague about this. And I don't know what is this that this person is pointing to, only to find that she or he is talking about the car that is in the showroom. Instead of saying, who can I talk to about this car? To give the sentence a question that is conclusive, so that the person who responds, the person who replies to the question should be very clear. Instead of asking you a question again, who can I talk to about this? Then my question will be, about what? Or what is it that you want to talk about to anyone around here? What is it? You answer the question by the question, because this question, who can I talk about this, is not complete. So you ask a question about this question to make it complete. Thank you. This rule codes not include adjectives or adjectival phrases that describe the noun. They come before or after the noun. For example, when did the horrible accident happen? When did the horrible accident happen? Remember, we're doing nouns and pronouns, verbs, and everything else. Then here it is, an accident occurred because somebody was not in the right mind, being drunk or not concentrating. And the question is, when did the horrible accident happen? It is also correct when you can say, when did the accident happen? Horrible is just to justify, to give it an adjective phrase so that you describe that the accident was not normal. It was not an ordinary accident. It was horrible. So that the person should know, when did the horrible accident happen? Meaning that you might have started your conversation with this person by saying, there was a horrible accident 2 blocks away from here. Then the person asks, when did the horrible accident happen? Then you answer, just before 12 o'clock, or just before I got there and it's around 12 o'clock. You have answers, you are conversing. What is the girl in the red dress doing? What is that girl in the red dress doing? What? What? I expect a function. What is this person doing? When is we're asking about the time? I've explained that. Then what is that girl in the red dress doing? The action, what is this person doing? Is this person in the red dress playing? Is this person in the red dress dancing? Is this person in the red dress eating? There is something that this person is doing. Now you want to know, what is that girl in the red dress doing? Now look at the horrible that explained the accident. Now here it is the girl and the red dress that explains everything. It's not, yes, there are girls there, but now for you to identify so that you have an adjective, you'd come up with the red dress. You give the color of the dress that this girl is wearing so that the person who is hearing you or conversing with you will be able to say the girl in the red dress is giving a speech, or the girl in the red dress is dancing. You can explain, because now you know what is the girl in the red dress doing, and you know the question goes to that girl in red, not just anybody. This is what we are calling grammatically right questions. Without an auxiliary verb, when you use what, who, which, or whose as the subject or part of the subject in the question sentence, you do not use an auxiliary verb. This must be very clear. Subject plus verb plus object. Example, what made that noise? You don't have to justify the noise. You just say, what made that noise? You heard a noise, or you're hearing some noise, then you say, what made that noise? So that your question is very clear. Welcome, Malitlhogo Nolo. I hope you have been listening. And if you don't have prior questions, or you have prior questions, I'm giving you time to ask questions. Shanae, are you still okay with what we have been discussing? Malitlhogo Nolo, do you have questions? Even if it's not questions on today's, thank you, Shanae. Thank you, Shanae. Even if it's not questions from today's lessons, because you just got in, maybe you have issues from previous slides, or you want clarities, you are free to do so. Maritlhogo, respond, please. You're fine. Thank you very much. Thank you. I see your hand. I am now continuing with my next slide. So what made that noise tells us you want to know, where does the noise come from? You can ask the question, what made that noise? Or where does this noise come from? You know, the answer is going to be the same. What made that noise? Where does the noise come from? The answer is going to be the same, that somebody dropped the glass. What made the noise is somebody dropped the glass. Or where does that noise come from? From a glass being broken, or a glass fell in the kitchen and it's broken. That's how you use your words. A formulation of grammatically correct questions without an auxiliary verb. Examples continue. Who called you? Which one is she? Whose phone is this? Now, look at the questions. Who called you? I want to know the person that you have been communicating with on your cell phone or on the phone. I want to know who called you. Then you're going to answer, so-and-so called me. You give that answer, even if there is no auxiliary verb. Which one is she? When you give an answer and say, who called you? Then you say, one of my sisters. You are still not very clear about who called you. Now, the question continues from that answer. Which one is she? You said one of your sisters. If I know your sisters, my question will be, which one is she? That is the one who called you. It's a continuity of the sentence. Then you give an answer. Which one is she? My eldest sister, or the one that you saw last week. You give an answer to that. Then the other question is, I was giving examples who, which, and whose. Whose phone is this? Can you see the writing of whose? Whose phone is this? That is WHOSE. But when you use whose, that is WHO apostrophe S. I hope you still remember when we were doing the apostrophes. Apostrophe S. It's a different meaning altogether of using whose, SE, and whose apostrophe S, and not an E at the end, because you are giving a different meaning. Whose phone is this? Then the answer will be, it's my dad's phone. You are giving an answer. Who, which, whose. If you don't have questions, I'm going to continue. Critical thinking. I hope you remember that we dwelled deeper into critical thinking. During that time, in those slides, I even asked you, will an employer employ a person who cannot critically think, or an employer will love an employee who can think critically? I'm just trying to make you remind you which slides you can go and check about critical thinking. We delve deeper on critical thinking. Taxonomy of levels of assessments and interrogation. Taxonomy is the studying of classified ways that are to be studied in revised form. Is used in education to develop and test cognitive skills. Here are the different levels, along with the type of questions that normally pertain to each particular level. I hope you now understand what taxonomy is. You've heard so much about the word taxonomy. What is the taxonomy that they are using? What is the meaning that the studying of classified words that are to be studied in revised forms? Is used in education. Taxonomy is used in education to develop and test cognitive skills. So the different levels that we are going to talk about are building on your taxonomy, are building on your cognitive skills. Remember, we spoke about cognitive skills when we're doing reading with comprehension, writing with comprehension, and all the grammatical issues that we dealt with cognitive skills were there for us to understand what we are learning or what we are doing. If you understand cognitive or you don't understand it, I'll hear from you. Knowledge. Let me remind you that these are the different levels, along with the types of questions that normally pertain to each other particular level. Okay? Knowledge is the first one. What happened after? That's a question mark. How many? That's a question mark. What is the name of? There's a question mark. Who said that? It's a question mark. When did this take place? Which one? Who was? Why did? Now, this on this level of asking questions, you want knowledge. You are busy conversing with someone, but you want knowledge. And as you are asking these questions, you are going to get knowledge. If you are interviewing someone, at some point, at a place where you want clarity, you want to write about an issue, you must have in-depth knowledge. And for you to get that knowledge is to ask questions. Questions like, what happened after or before? How many? You can rephrase it and say, how many people were there? What is the name of the car you were driving? It's not an important question, but it's a question. What is the name of the person you were driving with? Then who said that? Maybe as you are communicating, you end up saying, somebody said so many things, and I was just hurt. Then the interviewer will ask, who said that? Because this person wants to gather knowledge from this discussion. It's the one level that is very important because it's always a starting point for anyone who is writing, for anyone who is advertising, for anyone who is reading. You read about a scenario, and from that scenario, you have so many questions that are not answered. Now, these are the questions you will ask. What happened? How many? What is the name of? Who said that? When did this take place? Which one? Who was? Why did? Who committed this? And so on. You can take these words from this slide to ask yourself questions, play around and see if you are able to can put this to what I started with, the vocabulary, the grammatically right, verbs, and everything else that you are talking about. You are checking your taxonomy of levels of assessment interrogation. Then you come to ask about the knowledge. Then you move on to the next level, which is comprehension. Hey, we dealt with this comprehension story deeply and always because comprehension is forever active in our minds. As you are sitting there listening to me, you are comprehending. Your comprehension skill is up because you want to hear and understand what I am saying or what is it that I'm teaching tonight. So your comprehension skill is up. Then you ask questions like, can you write in your own words what I've just told you about comprehension? Can you write in your own words? What do you think will happen next? What is the main idea? Can you distinguish between? Can you provide an example or definition? Can you provide an example or definition? How would you compare? What facts or ideas show that? How would you summarize what is meant by? I don't know whether you are aware that all this type of questions that goes to under the comprehension level is the questions that you get every day, especially in your writing, in your examination, in your tests, whether oral or written tests. These are the type of questions that you find, because we want to check. If I'm the one who's asking questions, I want to check if you understand what you read about or what you studied or what you were taught. So let's see if you have comprehended knowledge. Then the questions will be, can you write in your own words about what? You ask yourself, about what? Can you write in your own words? How can I construct a sentence without a verb or an auxiliary verb? Can you clarify this in your own words? Then you can again say, what do you think will happen next? If I'm sitting here and something happens to you, to the same slide, but continuing with the level. We are busy with the levels. It started here, the levels of taxonomy of assessment. These are the levels. The first one is knowledge. The second one is comprehension, that I've been explaining, that most of these questions like, can you provide an example, or can you give a definition, or give a definition of this and that? How would you compare two shapes? Those are the questions that you mostly find in schools, in the classroom, in tests and examinations, because in most cases, they used summarize and by. Mostly those questions are done when we test your comprehension. The next level, the application. Do you know of another instance where that is the application taxonomy? It's the application. Do you know of another instance where? Because your answer is going to be an answer where you apply your knowledge. You are going to apply your knowledge. You are going to apply what you have learned, what you have comprehended. Then the question says, do you know of another instance where this happened? Or can you give examples of the same topic that you are talking about? Do you know of any other topics that are similar to that? Now, I want you to apply. I want you to show that you understand what I'm asking or what I've been teaching you. Then the other one would be, could this have happened? From the information given, can you devise a set of instructions for, as a writer and a good listener, you are going to be able to use some when you apply your knowledge, when you apply what you have comprehended. You know, when questions are asked, we always put questions to show, ask if you can apply. We want to ask questions that can give the information that you can apply, the knowledge that you have been given. I've given you the knowledge, right? To approach this, I'm giving you a topic, then I say, let me repeat the analysis level. What is the underlying theme? I want you to analyze, to give your answer is going to be analyzed. When you write examinations, you are asked to analyze. You are asked to give knowledge. You are asked to show. The best one is you are asked to apply out. I hope you a situation how you saw it. Are a writer. You're going to analyze a text that was given to you to analyze because it comes from emphasis, how you understand it. Synthesis. What alternatives can you do? The synthesis of your question. What alternative can you suggest? If the system, the internet keeps on kicking out, what did I suggest? What am I going to do? Synthesis. That's what it's meant. What changes would you make to solve the problem? The minute you see the word solve, you are thinking of the problem. What change makes there's an issue here that needs to be addressed. How would you improve? If you look at these examples that I've given of synthesis, they are questions that gives you the inclination that what changes would you make? How would you improve your marks? How would you improve your way of taking pictures? How would you improve your way of addressing audience? Then suppose you could kneel down if you talk to elderly people. Suppose, can you see that it's still a continuation of some issues that people wrestle with? Suppose you could give an answer instead of keeping quiet. Suppose you could write it down. Suppose you could feel better when you talk about it. Those are the type of questions to synthesize. What would you do when things are like this? What would you do when your property is broken into? What would you do? You ask questions to synthesize the situation, to get everything that has happened. You have analyzed, you have synthesized. But before you analyzed, what did you do? You applied. You only apply because you have comprehended. You have comprehended because you have the knowledge. I hope we are together, class. Knowledge, comprehend, apply, analyze, synthesize, now evaluation. You ask questions that make you evaluate or questions to evaluate whatever you're doing. Do you agree with what I'm saying? You evaluate what you are saying, you evaluate what you are writing, you evaluate what you are reading. Hence, you will ask such questions. Can you defend the argument? This one, academic, it's mostly the questions for the academics. Can you defend the argument that you have put in your proposal? So when you defend your argument, what you are doing, you evaluate that what you have said is correct or can be taken as is. How would you feel if I've explained the defend argument? How would you feel if somebody can do this to you? You have done something wrong to someone and you are asked, how would you feel if this happens to you? Or questions like, what would you recommend? it's an evaluation. Then, what choice would you have made if it was you? Somebody did something, now you are asked, if it was you, what choice would you have made? Common errors in language usage. As when I started that, the 2 days will be mostly things that we dealt with. Fossilization is when a language error becomes such a familiar habit that it sounds normal to a speaker and is hard to correct. That is fossilization. You know when something is not right and you don't know, but the way it is used, you think that, oh, it's used like that. Even if you think you know the correct grammar that needs to be used, but you hear people using it that way, and you also use it that way. This I explained when we were talking about, I was actually discouraging you to use the WhatsApp language, to use the Instagram language, to use the Telegram language. Use proper English so that you don't think saying hi to everyone, HI. You say hi to everyone and you think that is correct. Using that is not right, but it's so familiar and it sounds normal because most speakers, most people, they address people as just saying hi. They don't know whether they're talking to a stranger or they don't care or they don't know where to use it. That's when I explain about this fossilization, that you must be very, very careful as a writer. It doesn't matter what you write. You've got to be careful that you don't use sounds that are hard to correct because they're so common to people. They made them right. Even if it's slang, some people are changed to be corrupted, they become slang, and people just use them, and you think that is correct. So they are familiar, which is not right. It happens when characteristics of the student's home language, e.g., grammar structure, are transferred to his or her second language, even though they are incorrect. Here are some commonly fossilized errors. I just want to look at these common errors that are used all over, and we struggle to correct that because it's in our mind. That's the first thing that we picked up in our grammatical language, and we think that is the correct language. Concords refers to the agreement between the subject and the verb of the sentence. I hope you can go back to your slides and check when we spoke about concords deeper, analyzing them and going deeper, how to use them in agreement with verbs. If the subject noun, that is a thing or object, is singular, the verb or the action should have a singular form plus S. I hope it's understood because I didn't give many examples here because we dealt with this very, very intensely. If the subject, noun, thing, or object is plural or I, the verb action should be it should be the plural form as well. You cannot say the subject noun is the teacher is teaching a group of girls. The teacher is teaching a group of girls. I don't know whether you hear something right or wrong in the sentence. You find that when you talk about many tomatoes, you say, I bought 5 tomatoes. Bought, or you say, my mother bought 5 tomatoes. Let me simplify it that way. Mother, noun, bought, object, 5 tomatoes. There are 5 tomatoes that were bought. You cannot say, Mom bought 5 tomatoes. If the S is not there, there is something wrong with the sentence because they don't correspond. The object is not corresponding to the action. So when you say teachers are teaching, teachers, there are many teachers, are teaching. The are, it's in a plural form. You cannot say teachers is teaching. It's wrong. It sounds very, very wrong. You can hear it. Now, those are the things that I'm talking about, that concourse refers to the agreement between the subject and the verb of the sentence. So the concord is there because the concord is the one that brings the sentence to be together. So the agreement must be there. It's not going to be a word that is in singular. The verb is in singular, the noun is in plural. You've got to check that out. That is one error that is happening in most cases when people write. My next slide. In the present tense, the singular and plural form of verbs and nouns are always opposite. This, I mean, singular noun knows. Singular form of the verb, add S. No S, singular noun. No, and the verb, you add an S. Plural noun, you add an S. Plural form of the verb, you don't add any S. Example, the monkey climbs the tree. One monkey climbs the tree. Singular noun, singular form of verb. You know why it is always confusing, class? It's because of this S here. This S, because if English is your second language, you see monkey climbs the tree. You can easily say the monkey climbs the tree because the climb is an action word, but it has got an S. And monkey doesn't have an S. It's in singular. Another example, the monkeys, now many monkeys climb the tree. There are many, but the action doesn't take an S. Let me pause here and ask for examples because I've given you my 2 examples. Welcome, Gertrude. I've given my examples. The monkey climbs the tree. The second one I said, the monkeys climb the tree. The S is not on the used on the climb, the action word. Can I ask for your examples, please? You have been too quiet now.
The boy rides a bicycle.
The boy rides a bicycle. R-I-D-E-S. Thank you very much. Right? Rides, it's a action word. Change the same sentence now to the noun as a plural. The same sentence can be converted to a plural, just like I did.
The boys ride the bicycle.
The boys ride the bicycle. Thank you very much. You know, this sentence, you can also, all the same sentences that you are thinking in your mind or creating can also be continuous. And it will be the same sentence that will show you the action in plural or singular and the noun in plural or in singular. For example, the boys are kicking the ball. The boys are kicking the ball. It's happening now. The sentence is happening now. Kicking the action, it's happening. So those are the things that we discussed. Remember, I said we repeat what we said, but with a more intense opening of our minds on the language and how to use it. Note, not all plural nouns are formed just by adding an S. If they end on S, X, Z, CH, or SH, you add ES. You also know that, you see that every day, you use that every day. You add an ES. It's not all plural nouns are formed by adding just an S. By just saying monkeys, it's fine, monkey, monkeys. No, but there are those where you add an ES. That's English for you. If they end on Y, the Y changes into IES. Some nouns have regular plurals. I hope we understand that. The IES is added. The ES is also added. Can you think of any examples, class? Try. Can you think of any examples where the noun ends with an S, then you add ES? Or the noun ends with a Y, then you add IES? The answer is right in front of you. We just spoke about it. Anyone trying?
I think families.
Families. Create a sentence. Malitlhogonolo, thank you.
My family is at a restaurant.
My family is at a restaurant. Plural of the sentence. Anyone helping? Welcome, Eva. The same sentence, change it into plural. Anyone who wants to help or try?
My family are at the restaurant.
Aha, my families are at the restaurant. Very correct. Thank you very much, Malitlhogonolo. Anyone wants to try? Families, the IES has been added. Family, it ends with Y, and the IES is been added. In the sentence that I gave about the monkeys, how do you write monkeys? Monkey ends with a Y. The IES you can add when you do it, when you write it in a plural form. Okay? If there are no questions or someone who wants to try, I'm going back. So the ones also that ends with S or X and Z, CH and sh, the SH. You know, CH can sound differently. It can be sh, it can be ch. Now, when it ends with sh, you don't know whether it's a sh with CH or with SH. I'm just opening your eyes to see some of these things as we talk about them learning. My next slide. Luckily, a dictionary can help you here, so make good use of it. When the sentence has two subjects that are joined by either or neither nor, use the singular form of the verb. For example, neither Thabo nor his friend likes coffee. You cannot say neither Thabo nor his friends likes coffee. And this one happens, I hear it most of the time, where people are using neither nor. Then the verb is always confused there. It's either in plural with the S or not in plural. You know, it's causing a confusion. Guard against that error. Neither Thabo nor his friend likes coffee. Or either or. How can you use either or? Can somebody try that one?
Either Thabo or his friend likes coffee.
Either Thabo or his friend, you said likes or like?
Like coffee.
Like coffee.
Likes.
Either Thabo or his, yes, it's like, it's not likes. Lucanio, are you saying something or adding?
Yes, I want to say something, ma'am.
Yes.
You can either drive your car or ride your bike.
I missed you. You're also breaking. I missed you. What
Okay,
are you saying?
I said you can either drive your car to the shop or ride your bike.
Okay, correct. You can either ride your car or use your bike to the shops.
Yes,
Is it
drive your
to the,
car
did you say
or
to the
ride your
shops or
bike.
to the shop? Did you
I
say
said
shops or shop?
I said shop. I said
You
you
said
can,
shop, yes.
yes, I said you can either drive your car to the shop or ride your bike.
Okay. Okay, it's to the shop, not to the shops. Very correct that way. Thank you very much for the sentence. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Lucanio, for trying. Let's continue. When two subjects are joined by and use the plural form of the verb, for example, Thabo and his friend like coffee. Thabo and his friend like coffee. You are just giving a statement. When it is in a negative form, like neither Thabo nor his friend likes coffee, you are not going to use, you are going to use likes as a singular. But when you tell us a statement, Thabo and his friend like coffee, it's a statement and you put it there as correct because the action word like coffee is the one that is being stressed. Pronouns. We dwelled into this deeper about pronouns. That is why I keep on referring you to the past slides that we dealt with, because this grammar was fully outlined during those lessons. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Those are pronouns. I stands for a name. A common mistake is to confuse the male, he, him, his, female, she, her, hers, and neutral, it and its pronouns. Those are all pronouns. But common mistakes that we hear people talking or writing essays is when they confuse when to use him and he and his, when to use she and her and hers. when to use it and its. Those are pronouns. In English, male and female pronouns are only used for people. People only. And sometimes personal pets. Well, there are people who are pets crazy. They use names, and they use the names of those pets like female or male. But the correct way of using these pronouns in English, the he, him, his, it's for the males. The she, her, hers, it's for the females. Females, I mean girl or woman. Male, I mean boy or man. That's all. By the way, the word or the name man can be used for both female and females in other places, or when some things are written, like in the Bible, the word men is used for both, because in the Bible, the females and males are not always separated, because the people are those people who were writing prophets or whoever wrote the Bible were using men as a common factor of the universe of human beings. Also, all human beings are addressed as men. But when we speak in English language, when you use he, him, his, we know that you are referring to a male. When you use she, her, hers, you are referring to a female. I don't want to, I said this even before, that I don't want to go into pronouns that are confused, that people can classify themselves like I'm the other, I'm in between, I'm neither a male or a female. I don't want to go into those because I don't know them, I don't understand them. I only know females and males. Then the neutral it, an animal can be referred to as it or as its. Those are animals. Those are things that we use. I say my laptop, it is. If I use the name of the laptop, the Dell is the name of the laptop, but when I use it, I'm not going to say my Dell is not functioning well. I can't say that. I will say my computer is not functioning well, or I'll say my computer's function is slow. It has been slow. It has been so slow this morning. It is very slow. The it is used because I'm talking about something. I'm not talking about females or males. Okay? In English, male and female pronouns are only used for people, sometimes pets. Neutral pronouns are used for all animated objects. Neutral pronouns are used for all animated objects. Another common mistake is to add unnecessary pronouns. For example, my mother, she went to the shop. My mother, she brought something. Subject pronoun, he, she, it, we, they, etc. They are used to replace subject nouns to avoid repetition. For example, my mother, the subject, went to the shop. Unless you say she went to the shop. But when you use a pronoun, if I don't know who you are referring to, I'll have a problem. But if I'm asking you, where is your mother? Where? Remember, we started with the where questions. Where is your mother? Then your answer can be without the noun and use a pronoun. she went to the shop. She went to the shop. So you cannot repeat. When you answer me, but most people do that. When you answer me, where is your mother? My mother, she went to the shop. Especially small children when they're still learning. My mother, she went to the shop. Instead of just saying she went to the shop. Or leave the she out and say, my mother went to the shop. Then the she is not used. Those are the common errors that you have to be very, very extremely careful with so that you don't fall into the trap. For example, my mother, the subject, she went to the shop, is therefore incorrect. As the pronoun, she does not replace the subject noun, my mother. That is the subject noun, my mother. So if you use the she, it will again depend on the context of what you are trying to say, the context of what you are explaining, or the answer under the context, under the level. I've just dealt with the levels of taxonomy. Under which level are you answering this person? Where is your mother? Where? You are going to use a pronoun to answer that question under that level, because now that is the level of knowledge. I want to know the whereabouts of your mother. If I want to know, we are going to use the pronoun. So we are understanding each other. The context, the taxonomy is the same. We understand what we are saying to each other. Do you have questions, class? Or anything for me to clarify? If there is nothing, I'm moving to the next slide. Thank you. Articles, they, a, and n. A common mistake for second language users of English is to omit the article in front of a countable noun. They is the definite article and indicates something specific or particular, while a and n is used to refer to something non-specific. A is used before a consonant sound and n before a vowel. I don't think you'll forget this rule if you didn't know it. A is used before a consonant sound and n before a vowel sound. Examples. An hour, because it is pronounced hour. Thus a vowel sound, an hour of time, H-O-U-R, right? And hour, as a group, thus a vowel sound. But a unit, because it is pronounced unit, thus a consonant sound. I hope you understand this articles, the N. I have an assignment to submit. I have an assignment to submit. If you say, I have an assignment to submit, a assignment, an assignment. Eva, do you want to say something? Thank you for unmuting, Eva. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. A is used before a consonant sound and N before a vowel. I've given you 2 sentences. I have an assignment to submit. I have a assignment to submit. Which one is correct here? I've used a and N for the same sentence. I have an assignment to submit. I have a assignment to submit. Remember, A is used before a consonant sound and N before a vowel sound. Which one is correct? I have an assignment to submit or I have a assignment to submit. Is someone trying? Yes, Gertrude, I see your hand up.
Which one is I have an assignment?
I can't hear you. You've got people talking. Your background is a bit noisy. Maletlogololo, I see your hand. Gertrude, yes, repeat.
I have an assignment to submit.
I have an assignment to submit. Why do you say an assignment?
Because assignment is starts with a vowel. Vowel.
An assignment.
It starts with a vowel.
Is assignment is a vowel? Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I was just checking. I was just checking. Maletlogololo, your hand is up.
Yes, I'm the one who answered, ma'am.
Oh, I thought it was Gertrude.
No,
Sorry.
it was, ma'am.
I thought it was Gertrude. No, thank you very much. Yes, that's correct. Those are the articles we are talking about. And you've got to be sure at all times that you pronounce correctly. The example of, I only have 1 hour to study. I have 1 hour to study. That is, the spelling will be H-O-U-R because hour refers to time. But when I say, our dinner is not ready, our dinner is not ready. That is the OUR now referring to a group of people. But when it is only that now when I teach and talk, I stress all these words so that you understand where I'm coming from. But when someone talks, it's going to be, I only have 1 hour to study and our dinner is ready. I talk normal. I only have 1 hour to study and our dinner is ready. I sound exactly the same, hour and hour of the time. So those are the things that you've got to be very, very careful. Same as unit and unit, then it reminds me of you need. You know, these are the confusions that we get in languages and the errors that you need to guard against. It's very important. Infiltration. Infiltration refers to the process whereby words from a different language are taken up. Can you hear the infiltration in the background there? Whilst we are talking, there's a child there. That's the child is infiltrating. Gertrude, your hand is still up. Do you want to say something? Okay, Gertrude, if you, maybe it's an old hand. Infiltration, it's when words are spoken different, are taken up in another language. Examples, in South African English, babalas, babalas, ach, eish, lekker, and yebo. while these words are acceptable in informal setting, they are not correct. I have babalas. Ish, ach, murray, lekker. Those are the words that are infiltrators. They come into the language and we seem to all understand them. We hear them. We feel they are correct, but we don't even know where they come from. For instance, you'll think it's an Afrikaans word, lekker is an Afrikaans word, yebo is a Zulu thing, and babelas, I don't know where that one comes from, and so on. So those are the things that you've got to be careful. Infiltration of words, and you end up thinking that they are correct. Progressive tense, be plus verb, ing. Remember, I mentioned it passing there. A common mistake is to use the progressive tense for verbs that cannot be progressive. These verbs have to do with sensory perceptions. See, hear, taste, smell, know. Emotions. Want, love, hate, like, dislike. Measurement. Weight, cost, measure. And relationships. Have, own, contain, entail, belong. I said a common mistake is to use the progressive tense for verbs that cannot be progressive. I'm giving the examples of the sensory perceptions, the examples of measurement. For example, the apple tastes nice. That's correct. This apple tastes nice, but the apple is tasting nice. That's real South African English. The apple is tasting nice. Incorrect. Because you hear people saying, yo, the food is tasting nice. You cannot do that because taste cannot be progressive. Same as measurement. Create your own sentences there. I want cookies, correct. But I'm wanting cookies. I'm wanting to eat. Those are wrong ways to use, tenses to use, because they are not progressive. They cannot be progressive. The coffee costs 10 rand. That's correct. The coffee is costing 10 rand. Have you ever somebody fighting saying, this has been costing me a lot of money. I've spent a lot of money on this. Now here it is, it's broken. It's costing me a lot of money. You cannot put the ing, the progressive sentence. It is emotional. No, this one is measurement. Cost, yes, it's measurement. She owns that car. That's correct. She owns the car, but she is owning that car. She is owning that car. She owns the car. I hope you come to understand this progressive tenses, where to use the ing to be progressive and where not to use it. I hate sleeping late. The sentence is correct. Those are my emotions. I hate sleeping late. I cannot say, I hating sleeping late. I hating sleeping late. You cannot use emotions that way. Hence, you've got to always check your progressive tenses. And these are very common in our language every day. We use them and we don't use them correctly because we don't know. Now you know. You'll always refer to the slides when you write or when you prepare a speech to say, I must not find myself saying, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm greeting you because it costing me to stand here, or it's costing the company for me to talk to you. You know, such things, we hear them, but it needs to be corrected. Thank you. Preposition use in English: on, to, at, in, from, about, for do not follow consistent rules. The best way to learn how to use them correctly is to pay attention to preposition use when you read. You will gradually learn which prepositions are used with which nouns, and it will start to come naturally to you. Remember when I said, when you have learned proper grammar and you have the English, you understand it, you are not going to wait and say, what am I writing? Where do I put my preposition? Or what is that verb? What am I saying? It will come automatically. Your dictionary skills will be very valuable here, as dictionaries normally indicate the correct prepositions to be used with any noun, in addition to providing some sample sentences to demonstrate the correct usage. It's very important for you to take the responsibility of understanding your language so that when you use it, you are confident. Now, verbs versus adjectives. Adjectives modify nouns that we know, or pronouns, while verbs modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. A common mistake is to confuse the adjective and adverb forms in a sentence. That's confusing. She writes good, where good is the adjective form. This is incorrect. The correct form is she writes well, because well modifies the verb writes and should therefore be an adverb. You know, the word good is used randomly anyway, just like the word nice. Everything is nice. You've got a nice head. You've got a nice dress. You're talking good today. Yeah, your preaching was good. Good all the way. Nice all the way. Let us be aware of misusing the words that we don't understand. Those are grammatical errors that need to be taken care of. We must not just use them anywhere. Oh, you look nice, my friend. What is that? What does it mean? Or, you look good today. What does it mean? She writes well because well modifies the verb writes and should therefore be an adverb. To develop your language competence, you need to be aware of common errors, as well as errors you tend to make regularly, as will be indicated in feedback from the teachers and from your assignments. Once you know what to look out for, read often and critically. Use reading using multimodal strategies to reinforce language, reading and writing skills. Therefore, auditory listening, speaking skills, visual reading, and writing skills could mutually benefit one another. They are therefore multimodal strategies to reinforce language. To develop your language competency, you can use different multimodal or multimedia strategies that combine different auditory and visual skills to enhance your learning. I'm running through this because of time, and apart from that, we dealt with this heavily in depth. Example of multimodal strategies for developing language competency can be to listen to audiobooks whilst reading the printed book. This will help you a lot. Alternatively, practice your own speaking skills by recording yourself while you read out loud from a book. Listen to your recording while quietly reading the text once more. In this way, you can also practice pronunciation. When we dealt this, that's when I was saying the accents of people are different at all times. Xhosas end up pronouncing words and having the NG at the end being not silent, being loud, like the ending of this sentence, such things. We spoke about them. Self-assessment questions and feedback on self-assessment questions. You have them. I'm mentioning this because I want you to always, or before you sit for examinations, please go to your self-assessment questions in your study guide. Feedback on self-assessment questions. What is nice about this study guide, they give you the assessments and give you the answers. So, So when you practice on these things, you'll be able to know and you'll go out learning much better. Any question? Any question? If you don't have questions, thank you very much for attending and for bearing with Miss Lilo. You just came in and we have finished, but you will receive the slides and the recordings as always. Thank you very much. Hope to see you tomorrow